Have you been waking up lately feeling exhausted? Even after a full night's sleep, brushing it off as just getting older? Because what I'm about to tell you might be uncomfortable, but you need to hear it. Those small signs you're ignoring right now could be your kidneys quietly failing, and the most dangerous part is they don't scream for help until the damage is already serious, sometimes irreversible. I'm Dr. Richard Hale, and in my years working with patients, I've seen far too many people miss these early warnings, only to realize too late that what felt like simple fatigue was actually the beginning of a much bigger problem. But here's the good news if you're watching this now. There is still time to act because the right support at the right moment can help your kidneys, reduce stress, improve filtration, and slow down that silent decline before it crosses the point you can't come back from. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how. Most people hear omega-3 and instantly think about heart health, cholesterol, maybe brain function. But almost no one realizes that right now, deep inside your body, omega-3 could be the difference between your kidneys slowly declining or holding on to their ability to filter your blood day after day without failing you. Because your kidneys are not just passive organs, they are made up of millions of microscopic filtration units called nephrons, and each one depends on a delicate network of blood vessels and anti-inflammatory balance to survive. The moment chronic inflammation begins, and here's the part most people never feel, it starts attacking those tiny filters from the inside, thickening the membranes, scarring the tissue, and reducing their ability to remove toxins efficiently. And once those nephrons are damaged, your body cannot replace them. I remember a patient I worked with, Mr. James, 64 years old, who came in thinking his only issue was fatigue. He wasn't in pain. He didn't have any dramatic symptoms, just a constant sense of low energy that sleep never seemed to fix. He told me, "Doc, I just feel like I'm slowing down." But when we looked deeper, his lab results showed early-stage kidney stress and, more importantly, elevated inflammatory markers that had been quietly building for years. This is where the conversation changed. Because what he thought was aging was actually inflammation, slowly wearing down his kidney function. When we adjusted his diet and introduced consistent omega-3 intake from fatty fish like salmon and sardines, along with a high-quality supplement, something interesting happened over the following months. His inflammation markers began to drop. His energy levels improved and his kidney function stabilized instead of continuing its downward trend. And this isn't just one story. Clinical research has shown that omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, can significantly reduce inflammatory activity inside kidney tissue and are associated with a slower progression of chronic kidney disease. What makes this so powerful is not just that omega-3 reduces inflammation, it actively helps switch off the signals that cause ongoing damage at the cellular level. Think of it like this. Inflammation is like a fire quietly burning inside your kidneys, and omega-3 doesn't just cool it down, it helps shut off the source of the fire before it spreads further. But here's another layer that most people completely miss, and it might be one of the biggest mistakes holding them back. When people buy fish oil supplements, they often look at the front label, 1,000 milligrams fish oil, and assume they're getting what they need. But your kidneys don't care about the total fish oil number. What actually matters is the combined amount of EPA and DHA on the back label, because those are the active compounds your body uses to fight inflammation. Without enough EPA and DHA, you're essentially taking something that looks helpful, but isn't delivering the real benefit where it matters most. This is why a daily intake of around 500 to 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA is often recommended as a starting point for meaningful support. Now, there's something even more important to understand, especially if you're watching this because you're worried about your health or someone you love. Your kidneys receive about 20% of your total blood flow every single minute. That means every second your kidneys are exposed to whatever is circulating in your bloodstream. Nutrients, toxins, inflammatory molecules, and if your blood vessels are stiff, inflamed, or narrowed, your kidneys are essentially trying to function under pressure, without the oxygen and nutrients they need to do their job properly. Omega-3 helps improve the flexibility of those blood vessels, allowing better circulation, better oxygen delivery, and ultimately better filtration. So when you think about omega-3, don't think of it as just another supplement. Think of it as something that supports the environment your kidneys depend on to survive. Because without that environment, without reduced inflammation, without healthy blood flow, Your kidneys are constantly working harder under more stress and getting closer to the point where damage becomes permanent. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever gone through your day feeling tired for no clear reason? Maybe a little foggy, maybe just not as sharp or energetic as you used to be, and you told yourself it's just age catching up. If that's you, I want you to drop a comment and tell me what you've been feeling, because I read every single one, and you might be surprised how many people are going through the exact same thing without realizing what's really happening beneath the surface. Because here's the truth most people don't hear. Inflammation doesn't stay in one place. It doesn't just affect your kidneys, it affects your entire vascular system, your energy levels, your brain function, and by the time you start noticing something is wrong, it has often been building for years. And while omega-3 can play a powerful role in slowing that process, reducing that hidden damage, and giving your kidneys a better chance to function longer, it's only one piece of the puzzle. Because even if you manage to control inflammation, even if your blood flow improves, there is still another silent factor in your body that can continue damaging your kidney function from the inside out. One that most people have never even heard of yet. It directly attacks the very blood vessels your kidneys rely on to survive, and understanding this next piece might change the way you look at your health completely. But just knowing this alone is not enough. Because there is another factor even more dangerous that most people completely overlook. But here's where things get even more unsettling, because even if you start reducing inflammation and improving blood flow with omega-3, there is still another silent threat moving through your bloodstream right now, something you cannot feel, cannot see, and almost nobody talks about. Yet it has the power to slowly damage the very vessels your kidneys depend on to survive. That threat is a molecule called homocysteine, and if it's elevated, it doesn't just sit there harmlessly. It begins to irritate and erode the inner lining of your blood vessels, including the microscopic ones inside your kidneys that deliver oxygen and nutrients to every nephron. Think about that for a second. Your kidneys rely on an incredibly delicate network of capillaries to function. When those vessels are healthy, blood flows smoothly, filtration stays efficient, and waste leaves your body the way it should. But when homocysteine levels rise, it's like sandpaper scraping against those vessel walls day after day, creating tiny injuries that reduce elasticity, narrow the pathways, and ultimately limit how much oxygen reaches your kidney tissue. And without enough oxygen, those filtration units begin to struggle, then weaken, and over time they start to fail. I once worked with a patient named Linda, 68 years old, who came in not because of pain, but because of something she couldn't quite explain. She said, "I just feel drained all the time. My mind isn't as clear, and even small tasks feel heavier than they used to." She had already tried improving her diet, drinking more water, even taking general multivitamins, but nothing seemed to change. When we ran a deeper panel, one number stood out immediately. Her homocysteine levels were significantly elevated, and at the same time, her vitamin B levels, especially B6, B9, and B12, were lower than optimal. What she thought was just fatigue was actually her body struggling at a cellular level. Once we addressed that by introducing a targeted B-complex supplement and adjusting her nutrient intake, something shifted. Within weeks, her energy began to return, her mental clarity improved, and over time, her lab markers started moving in the right direction. But what's more important than her story is what it reveals about how your body works. Because vitamin B is not just about boosting energy, like most people think. It plays a critical role in controlling homocysteine levels, essentially neutralizing a molecule that would otherwise continue damaging your blood vessels quietly in the background. Scientific research has consistently shown that elevated homocysteine is associated with faster kidney function decline and increased cardiovascular risk. And here's why that matters specifically for your kidneys. Those tiny filtration units, the nephrons, depend on a constant, steady supply of oxygen-rich blood. When homocysteine damages the vessels feeding them, that supply is compromised. Less oxygen means less efficient filtration, more waste buildup in your bloodstream, and a higher level of stress on kidney tissue that is already working nonstop every minute of your life. Now here's something even more surprising, and almost nobody talks about this. Vitamin B is water-soluble, which means your body doesn't store large amounts of it. You need a consistent daily supply. But when kidney function starts to decline even slightly, your body can actually lose vitamin B faster than it should because your kidneys filter it out more aggressively. So now you have a situation where your kidneys are under stress, and at the same time, your body is losing the very vitamins needed to protect those kidneys. It becomes a vicious cycle. Kidney stress leads to nutrient loss leads to more vascular damage, and that damage accelerates kidney decline. This is why many kidney specialists emphasize the importance of maintaining adequate levels of vitamin B complex, especially B6, B9, and B12. These vitamins help convert homocysteine into harmless compounds, protect the integrity of your blood vessels, and support energy production inside every cell, including your kidney cells. Because let's not forget, your kidneys are one of the most energy-demanding organs in your body. They are constantly filtering, constantly balancing fluids, constantly removing toxins. Without enough cellular energy, their performance drops. And when their performance drops, everything else in your body starts to feel it. Fatigue, brain fog, swelling, and that subtle sense that something just isn't right. Let me pause here for a second and ask you something directly. Have you ever felt that kind of unexplained exhaustion, where no matter how much you rest, you still wake up tired? Or maybe you've noticed your focus slipping, your energy dipping in the middle of the day, and you've blamed it on stress or age. If that sounds familiar, I want you to drop a comment and tell me what you've been experiencing. Because these are the kinds of signals your body sends long before something more serious shows up on a lab test. And the earlier you recognize them, the more power you have to do something about it. Because here's the reality most people don't realize until it's too late. Your body doesn't break down all at once. It declines in layers. First inflammation, then vascular stress, then energy loss at the cellular level. And all of it feeds into how well your kidneys can continue doing their job. And while correcting vitamin B levels can protect your blood vessels, improve energy, and slow down one of the most overlooked drivers of kidney damage, it still doesn't address a deeper imbalance that can quietly accelerate the entire process. Because even if your inflammation is under control, even if your blood vessels are protected, there is still one critical system inside your body that determines how minerals are balanced, how blood pressure is regulated, and whether your kidneys are operating under stable conditions or constant strain. And if this system is off, it can push your kidneys closer to failure, faster than most people ever expect. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because there is another factor even more dangerous that most people completely overlook. And this is where everything comes together, because even if you've reduced inflammation with omega-3 and protected your blood vessels with vitamin B, there is still a deeper control system inside your body that quietly determines whether your kidneys stay stable or continue to decline under pressure. And that system revolves around one of the most misunderstood nutrients of all, vitamin D. Most people hear vitamin D and immediately think about bones or sunlight. But what they don't realize is that your kidneys are not just passive receivers of this vitamin. They are responsible for activating it into the very form your body can actually use, which means the moment your kidney function starts to weaken, your ability to activate vitamin D begins to drop as well, and that's when a chain reaction starts to unfold beneath the surface. Let me explain this in a way that's simple but powerful. Inside your body, calcium and phosphorus must stay in a very tight balance. When active vitamin D levels are sufficient, your body knows exactly how to regulate these minerals, what to absorb, what to release, what to keep in balance. But when vitamin D drops, that control system begins to break down. Phosphorus starts to build up in your bloodstream, and in response, your body pulls calcium out of your bones to compensate. Now you have excess calcium and phosphorus circulating through your blood, and instead of helping you, they begin depositing into your blood vessels and increasing pressure inside the tiny filtration units of your kidneys. And that pressure, this is the part most people never hear, is one of the key drivers of long-term kidney damage, because it strains the glomeruli, accelerates scarring, and pushes your kidneys closer to dysfunction without causing any immediate obvious symptoms. I once had a patient, Robert, 70 years old, who came to me after months of feeling off. He wasn't in pain, but he had this persistent sense of weakness, occasional muscle discomfort, and his blood pressure had been creeping up despite medication. He told me, "Something doesn't feel right, but I can't explain it." When we ran his labs, one result stood out immediately. His vitamin D levels were significantly low. What's more concerning is that his kidney markers were beginning to shift in the wrong direction, not dramatically, but enough to signal early stress. After carefully adjusting his vitamin D intake, under proper monitoring, not guesswork, we began to see gradual improvements. His blood pressure became more stable, his energy improved, and more importantly, the progression of kidney stress slowed down. And this isn't just anecdotal. Large-scale clinical studies have consistently shown that low vitamin D levels are extremely common in individuals with declining kidney function and are strongly associated with faster disease progression, higher inflammation, and increased cardiovascular risk. But here's where it becomes even more critical. Vitamin D also plays a direct role in regulating a system in your body called the renin-angiotensin system, which controls blood pressure. And since high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of kidney failure worldwide, this means vitamin D is not just supporting your kidneys indirectly, it's actively helping regulate one of the most important factors that determines whether your kidneys stay healthy or continue to deteriorate. Now, if you're thinking, okay, so I should just take more vitamin D, this is where many people make a serious mistake. Vitamin D is powerful, but it's not something you want to take blindly or in excessive amounts. Too much vitamin D can raise calcium levels too high, creating the exact kind of mineral imbalance that can accelerate kidney damage instead of preventing it. This is why the goal is not maximum levels, it's optimal levels. For most adults, a daily intake between 800 to 2000 IU is commonly recommended. But the most important step is knowing your current levels through a simple blood test because your body's needs are unique to you. Let me ask you something again, and I want you to really think about it. When was the last time you checked your vitamin D levels? Not guessed, not assumed, but actually tested. Because if you haven't, there's a very real chance you could be deficient without knowing it, especially if you spend most of your time indoors, avoid direct sunlight, or are over the age of 60. And if that's the case, your body may already be dealing with the consequences in ways that are subtle but significant: fatigue, muscle weakness, unstable blood pressure, and yes, increased strain on your kidneys. Drop a comment below and tell me if you've ever had your vitamin D levels tested, because I'm genuinely curious how many people are walking around with this hidden deficiency without realizing the role it plays in their overall health. And if you've made it this far into the video, you're already ahead of most people, because you're starting to see the bigger picture, not just one nutrient, not just one fix, but how different systems in your body connect and influence each other over time. Because when you step back and look at everything we've talked about, omega-3 reducing inflammation and vitamin B, protecting your blood vessels and vitamin D, regulating mineral balance and blood pressure, you begin to see that your kidneys don't fail overnight. They decline through a series of small invisible imbalances that build up quietly until they reach a tipping point. And the reason this matters so much is because that tipping point, once crossed, is incredibly difficult to reverse. But here's the part that should give you hope. If you can identify these imbalances early, if you can support your body with the right nutrients consistently, you can slow that process down sometimes significantly. You can reduce the stress on your kidneys, improve their working environment, and give them a better chance to keep functioning for years to come. And that's not about extreme detoxes or miracle cures. It's about understanding what your body actually needs and responding before it's too late. But just knowing this alone is not enough, because there is another factor even more dangerous that most people completely overlook. If you've made it this far, I want you to take a moment and recognize something important. You're already doing what most people don't. You're paying attention early before the damage becomes obvious, and that alone can make a real difference in how your kidneys function in the years ahead. Because the truth is, protecting your kidneys isn't about doing something extreme. It's about doing the right small things consistently, making sure your body has enough omega-3 to calm inflammation, enough vitamin B to protect your blood vessels, and enough vitamin D to keep your entire system in balance. These are simple steps, but when done early and done right, they can help reduce stress on your kidneys and slow down the kind of silent decline that so many people only discover too late. So here's what I want you to do next. Save this video so you can come back to it whenever you need a reminder of what your body actually needs, and share it with someone you care about: a parent, a friend, someone who might be dealing with fatigue, swelling, or early signs they don't fully understand yet. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, because every week we break down real, research-based medical insights in a way that helps you take control of your health before problems escalate. And most importantly, don't leave this thinking it's too late or that the damage is already done. Your body has an incredible ability to adapt and respond when you start giving it what it truly needs. Sometimes it's not about reversing everything overnight. It's about slowing the decline, protecting what you still have, and creating a future where your kidneys can keep supporting you the way they were meant to. And that future can start with the choices you make today.